Thank you, Mark. I certainly do appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I really do appreciate the opportunity to be back home in my district. I've been traveling all over Mississippi, and it's good to be back in a place where people know where Morville is, because I'm tired of explaining where Morville is all over the state. But I'm from a few miles from here, a little community called Morville. I come from a blue-collar, working-class background. My parents both worked in a factory right down the street here. They worked at Day Bright Lighting. My father worked there for 47 years on the paint line. My mother worked there for over 40 years, and I'm proud to have them here with me at this luncheon today. Stand up, Mom and Dad. And 12 years ago, when I got elected to the House of Representatives, in 1997, I met a young lady when I went and spoke to the City of Jackson Chamber of Commerce meeting, which is now my wife, Lisa. Lisa's from Florence, down in Rankin County, and I'd like for her to stand up and recognize her. Lisa is the curriculum coordinator for Lee County Schools. Growing up, I didn't have very much, so I had to start to work. In the summertime, I had to haul hay. And thank goodness they've invented round bales, because those square bales were tough this time of year when it was pretty hot outside. And I had to cut wood. But I started my own business when I was in junior high school, called Jamie's Lawn Care Service. When I sold that while I was at Coonamble Community College, I was mowing 50 yards, 2 cemeteries, and 6 apartment complexes. Believe you me, I learned how to work. And then when I started at Ole Miss, I started a little business called North Mississippi Horticulture Services that enabled me to graduate debt-free. You know, I didn't get my values from the National Republican Party, nor did I get my values from the National Democratic Party. I got my values growing up here in rural northeast Mississippi from my parents, Roger and Gail Franks, and that little Church of God church on Briar Ridge Road here in Tupelo. That's why way back in 1997, I fought and banned partial birth abortion in this state, eliminated the marriage tax penalty, and banned same-sex marriages. In 2000, we were able to ban homosexual adoption. And in 2001, we put our national motto of "In God We Trust" on every classroom wall in this state. And in 2004, we put a constitutional amendment on the ballot that you in Lee County overwhelmingly adopted that says marriage is a sacred vow between one man and one woman. I've stood up for your values in the House of Representatives, and I want to do that as your next Lieutenant Governor. Now, in 1995, I was 22 years of age. I just graduated from Ole Miss, and I came before the people of Lee and Etowah and Tishomingo counties, and I asked them to elect me to the House. And they elected me. The people who knew me before I was born, the people who I grew up with, the people I worked for, the people who I went to church with, allowed me to represent them for the past 12 years in the House of Representatives, and I'm proud to have been that man in the House. Now, there's a lot of values that politicians don't talk about, and that is a value called education. To me, that's the most important issue in this campaign. We have got to make sure that we honor our commitment to the boys and girls of this state and make sure that the Mississippi Adequate Education Program is funded each and every year, not just an election year. You say, what does that mean to me? Let me tell you what it means to you as a taxpayer. The 3 years in this term that the Senate refused to fund education, your local ad valorem taxes were raised all 3 years. That's wrong. We need to honor our commitment to education in this state. That's why I have received the endorsement from the Mississippi Association of Educators and the American Federation of Teachers. I fought for our community and junior colleges. We've got to make sure they're the best that they can be, because that's where the workforce training is coming in to train people to take the jobs at Toyota. And I'm proud to have the support of Dr. Johnny Allen at Northeast Community College and Dr. David Cole at Etowah Community College. These men know that education has to be funded. We've got to take care of our institutions of higher learning, because the fact of the matter is, when you underfund institutions of higher learning, tuition goes up and it stifles educational opportunities for our people, and we've got to do something about that. We've also have to work on economic development. We've got to make sure that we create jobs. We've been able to do that here in Northeast Mississippi with a pool alliance that we started with Randy Kelly and David Grump Parker several years ago to make sure that we were able to bring a large manufacturing facility right here in Northeast Mississippi. We've been able to accomplish that because we put aside political boundaries like county lines. We put aside partisanship as Democrats and Republicans. And we came together and worked at the local, the state and national level, and we were able to bring Toyota here, and we need to make sure that we do that all over the state. We can't simply rely on the Toyotas and Nissans. We have got to work for every existing job that we have in this state. We've got to work for our small businesses in this state and help them every way we can. And let me tell you why it's so important to me. Because I am sick and tired of the young men and women of this state, our brightest and best, having to go to some other community or to some other state to get a job. I want them to have the same opportunity that I've had to be able to grow up and get a good job and move right across the road from where they grew up, if that's what they see fit. We've got to work on health care. We've seen in the past 4 years an administration that has allowed 65,000 elderly and disabled Mississippians to get kicked off of Medicaid. We've seen over 70,000 children lose health insurance. And we've got to be expanding health care in this state, not kicking people off. Health care has taken on a new meaning for me over the last few months. My mother was diagnosed with leukemia, and I have seen how the health care she's received has kept her alive. And health care should be affordable and accessible for all Mississippians. We've got to work on insurance reform because it's wrong when the people on the Mississippi Gulf Coast cannot rebuild their homes because they cannot afford the insurance premiums and they can't afford the mortgage. And we've got to do something about that. But one of the main things we've got to do is give tax relief for working families. And the way you do that is to cut the highest sales tax on groceries in the Union in half and raise the tobacco tax by $1. That's important to me because working families deserve that savings, and we need to make sure that we work on the public health situation in this state and help to deter people from smoking. And I'm proud to come to a city and call it home of Tupelo that is smoke-free. That is important to me, and it amazes me every time I go to a restaurant in Jackson how the smoke smells, because it's really a breath of fresh air to be in a place that's smoke-free. And I think all public places should be smoke-free in this state. Now, you've heard a lot about this election. It's very important. You know, I'm not running against David Barber. Governor Barber's a good man. Sometimes he's right, but sometimes he's wrong. And we've got to have independence in that state senate. We've got to have a lieutenant governor that is going to stand up and fight for the interest of the people of this state, and not the interest of a single politician or the interest of a single political party. And if you want balance in state government, then I need your help. Because over the past 4 years, we've seen a state senate that has basically been a rubber stamp for the governor of this state. They've written him a blank check. We've seen what that means. We've seen our children's future discounted by over $300 million. We've seen our elderly and disabled shortchanged by 65,000 of them being kicked off of Medicaid. We've seen working families being shortchanged by the sales tax on groceries not being cut in half. We've seen property owners in this state not taken care of because the state senate refused to pass comprehensive eminent domain protection that would have protected our most fundamental right as a Mississippian, and that's our right to own property. And we have seen a state senate that has not addressed the issue of illegal aliens, because the people of Mississippi want to make sure that Mississippians are working and not illegal aliens. And if you want those issues addressed, and you want a lieutenant governor that's going to stand up for you, who's going to stand up for your family, who's going to stand up for our children, our disabled, our vulnerable, and our frail, then on Tuesday, November the 6th, go to the polls and elect Jamie Franks your next lieutenant governor. Thank you, and may God bless you.